When you're a member of parliament or a political leader or someone that wants to break into parliament for the first time, there's a very important question you've got to ask yourself. Who's going to vote for me? How am I going to get enough votes to get that seat? And what tends to happen, of course, everybody goes for the safe option, the one that's, I suppose, demographically more liable to vote for you. And as a result, everybody goes towards that centre ground, which has caused us all of this trouble over all of these years. And as I've said in many a video, you don't get an alternative. You get two opposing parties who slag off anybody that tries to get in the way, and their policies tend to merge, and you can't fit a fact paper between them. So there was an interesting piece that came out. It's a little snippet of information from a Nigel Farage interview from a little bit of a time ago, and it's very revealing. So let's have a look at this without further ado. So this is a post that came up, and it says, if we alienate Islam, we will lose. Nigel Farage wants to win an election with Muslims, admitting he's too incompetent to win over more than 90% British non-Muslims. Rupert Lowe wants to save England, legally a Christian country, and the English flag. So I'm assuming this lady is English or a big supporter of. Now, let's have a listen to this. This is the Winston Marshall show from some time ago, and it's very relevant.
We have a Muslim population in Britain growing by about 75% every 10 years. Right? That's just where we are.
Mm-hmm.
If we politically alienate the whole of Islam, we will lose. We'll lose.
So how does one include
We
them?
will lose. By 2050, goodness knows what kind of a terrible state we're going to be in.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Muslim population in Britain growing by about 75% every 10 years. Right? That's just where we are.
Mm-hmm.
If we politically alienate the whole of Islam, we will lose. We'll lose.
So how does one include
We
them?
will lose. By 2050, goodness knows what kind of a terrible state we're going to be in.
Well, you heard him. So if you politically alienate them, we will lose. It's quite frightening, isn't it, having that mentality? Now, the political landscape has changed a little bit, because now you've got Restore saying the things that they're saying. You've all of a sudden got Reform trying to follow suit and saying similar. And you can tell it's all for votes. It's all for show. We will lose, they say. So when you get a taste of it, when you get into the political circle, you think to yourself, what is the safest option? I know. And we get loads and loads and loads and loads of them come in every single month. A lot of them are given British citizenship. A lot of them are then eligible to vote in elections, and you get a massive pool of voters where you can guarantee your seat at the table forevermore. Conservatives and Labour, of course, have been doing it for years. Why not? And all we're seeing playing out is a party that everybody had their hopes in, who are now realising we need to play the game. Well, let me tell you something. The biggest problem with voting in this country, it's not so much the votes, it's the turnout and who comes out. That's very vital. Now, I want to show you something. That's this screen here. I did a Google search and I said, how many declared English-only nationality in the 2011 census? In 2011, in the census for England and Wales, 32.4 million people identified as English-only national identity. This data was released by the ONS in 2012, and it was the first time a question on national identity was introduced to the census. Now, do you know why they did that? Because they wanted to know where we all were. And then further, do you know what they did with that information? Demographically changed the makeup of those areas. So when you get the question again a little bit later on, the results are a little bit different. But the point I'm trying to make is you can't only rely on that vote from the demographic that Nigel spoke about right in the beginning. There is a massive amount of people, other people, that can change this for the better, and they are not being tapped into. That is the English. The other thing you have to think as well, historically, at least the last few general elections that I know of, the turnout has been absolutely abhorrent. Nobody has bothered. Now, while you don't bother, what happens, of course, you end up with them playing the game. You look at Starmer, you look at the majority he's got in the House of Commons. Pretty much all of them in there are Labour MPs, so they can shove everything through. They can put everything through they choose to. But you know what? He got that on the back of a percentage of an incredibly low turnout. So in effect, he doesn't really have a mandate to govern because hardly anyone came out and voted for him. This has to change. If you get a situation where we have a general election and you've got Restore, you've got Reform, you've got Advance, those right-wing parties that want to try and change things, if nobody comes out and votes, then what will happen is that the engine, this first past the post system that's in place to protect the establishment, will carry on, and we'll end up with Labour or Conservatives, and everybody scratching their heads wondering, why has that happened? It's because you're all falling for the same old trick. Get people out, get people engaged. It's the only way things will change, I can guarantee it. Now, going back to the problem we talked about right at the beginning of the video, it's all well and good trying to rely on votes from these people, but there are an awful lot of these people that quite simply shouldn't be here. It's where they've been welcomed in, I suppose you could call it, and they've completely abused what's going on. You know, when you come into a country, and I would expect the same if I left England and went to live somewhere else, that I would have to integrate, obey the laws, you know, get on, contribute, earn a living. Many people do, but there's a very large portion and growing that aren't. And they need to be removed. They have to be removed. Now, Nigel implies if you go down that road, it's impossible. You can't do it. They're managing it in America. So what's the problem? I'll tell you the problem. It's the political will to do so. It just isn't there. Somebody has to do this. Now, if you have a look at this, mass deportations, legitimacy, legality, and logistics. This is the mass deportation policy from Restore. 113 pages. Costings, obstacles, legal obstacles, I mean, implications, how to do it, everything. And they reckon they can have the whole thing done within 2 years, maybe 3 maximum. But you have to have the will and the wherewithal to do it. It's really very simple. And no political party wants to go anywhere near it because they know with the system the way it is, be a hell of a big block of votes that will disappear with it. Now, what you need to do, if you are English, if you are Scottish, if you are Welsh or Irish, you need to get as many people out to vote as possible that perhaps haven't engaged with the system before. We need to rise. We need to vote. Otherwise, we're going to just lose it all. It's as simple as that. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share my stuff. I'll talk to you soon. Toodaloo.